Okay, literal equations. Something else that to me has to be solved. So, literal equations, it's going to be a little weird. We're not really solving for an answer like x is 1, or maybe two answers like x1, y7. We are changing the way that an equation is written, so that instead of having an equation written like the area is pi r squared, we're going to solve this maybe for like r. So we're going to write it so that it says r equals. You use the same principles as solving equations, and you got to keep in mind a couple of things. The first thing that I would suggest is take a look at what variable are we interested in, and then figure out what is it joined to and how is it joined. Because if you want to isolate that variable, that's another way of saying solve for, or in here it says changing the subject of the formula. So these are all the same words or the same expressions that mean the same thing. But once you figure out what the variable is that you are interested in to isolate, you can sort of do the opposite of, what is in the equation right now. If the equation is, or if the unknown variable is in two or more terms, then you're going to have to factor at some point. When you take square roots, you need pluses and minuses, and if we have fractions, we're going to try to just basically get rid of the fractions, the easiest way to do that. So I think we're going to run into most of these in this in the couple examples that I have. So let's just look at an example. It says the area of a triangle is, area is a half times base times height. What is the height, or the height, sorry, what's the height of the triangle in terms of the base and the area? So we are interested in the height. We're interested in that thing. And sometimes it helps the circle. Well, let's see, what is it connected to? It's connected to the base somehow with a multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying would be dividing. So we're going to divide at some point, and it's multiplied by a half here. So to get rid of the half, I'm going to multiply by 2. And that's actually the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to just multiply by 2 because I don't really like fractions. But make sure that you multiply everything by 2. So you get 2 times a, and this 2 and that half cancel. So you just get base times height. Okay, the height is being multiplied by the base, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So if you divide, you will see that you get the height by itself. So the height is twice the area divided by the base. Okay, another one. Given the formula h is r times h over r plus r squared, make r the subject. So it says capital R. So we're going to make r the subject of that formula. Well, this one is definitely more complicated because r is actually in two spots. So somehow these two have to come up or come to the same side. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by r plus r squared because, again, I don't like fractions. Okay, it makes it confusing. So this r plus r squared is going to cancel this r plus r squared, but I do need to move or multiply on that side as well. So it's going to be r plus r squared is equal to r times h, capital R. Okay, distribute. Now let's see. I want actually capital R. So this one over here needs to come over to this side somehow because all capital R's need to be on the same side for this thing to work. So you can do that. Well, this is actually a positive HR, so if you subtract an H capital R, then it's on this side. Okay. Capital R is in common both here and there. You can factor. That's H minus H. And then the last step would be to figure out what to do with this. So R is multiplied by H minus H. So if I do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing, divide by h minus h on both sides, I should get capital R. And you do. So there you go. It's hr squared over h minus h. Alright, last one. Express the radius of a circle in terms of its area. So they didn't give me a formula because you're expected to know that the area is pi r squared. Okay, and we are interested in the radius. Well, the radius is here. Okay, it's this thing over there, but it has a square. I can't deal with the square and the pi at the same time. So isolate it first. divide by pi, and keep in mind pi is a variable. It's, well, I mean, I know it's a value that we have a value for approximately, but you treat it like a variable in this case, so you can divide by it. And then how do you get rid of a square? Well, you take the square root. So the radius would be the square root, so plus or minus the square root of a divided by pi. You do have to think about this like logically though. So r stands for the radius. And does it make sense for the radius to have a negative value? It does not. So because of that, you can actually write this as just the positive square root of a divided by pi. And that's it. Thank you.